Now, in the case of Pritzizana, you'll see there are two production managers, myself and someone else, okay? And that's because we had a pre-production problem. And it gets resolved within about, I think in 3 days. But I've already started to shut the company down. And when you shut the company down, everybody's jumping ship to get their next movie. Fortunately, we only lost the set decorator, as I recall, only one person, right, before I was able to gear up again. But we lost time, valuable prep time, and so it was clear that I could not do New York and Los Angeles at the same time. You know, there wasn't enough prep to do both, for me flying back and forth, because I would be setting up LA, then coming back to New York, then going back, whatever. So we hired the studio hired a second production manager. The only thing we had to do in common, right, was I had to make sure that I shipped him the two glass panel doors to Jack's apartment, because what we did was we found a building which was right in the middle of the convergence. Here's the platform, the terrace, right? And then what you see, you're the camera. Here's the terrace in the foreground. And in the background are the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge. They visually converge. All that necklace lighting, it's excuse me, it's fucking fantastic. Okay? Graphic. Okay? That terrace doesn't exist. It was just a tar, the tar beach, that was just a tarred the top of the building. Okay? We created the terrace, and then we created the entranceway to Jack's apartment. Those doors, right? So so we bought those doors. We made those doors. I think they were made. They were metal framed with glass panes and whatever. And then, as soon as we were done, because when he walks through those doors, he's now. There's nothing on the other side, right? We cut, and then we see him on the reverse angle on the stage in Los Angeles. But those doors had a match, okay? And then we had the still photographer take pictures on the live location of what we would see when we look out those doors, those glass window doors from the stage, and those we made into what we call translights, okay? And a translight is just a giant Ektachrome, shot. What's the word I'm looking for? Slide, thank you. It's just a giant slide. They're very expensive to make because they're, 15 feet tall, by 15 feet wide. But when you look at the movie, you'll see just a sliver of it. But you're never going to know if it's going to be only a sliver, so you're going to make something 15 feet wide. And what they do is it's literally a cell, okay, of a photographic cell. And then the cameraman, the DP, lights from behind it, and it looks real, even though we're inside a building. Okay. Another location note, though. Remember we talked about safety, right? Well, you're always looking for what can go wrong. And in point of fact, the day before I visit, and you always do this as a production manager, you visit the location the day before you start shooting. Make sure everything is done that's supposed to be done by that point. And I'm up on the rooftop, and we've got everything set, right, for us to come the next day. And I just noticed that there's and this is common in New York apartment buildings, that there's about an 18-inch wall that is the only buffer between you on firm ground and falling off the building. Okay, we're going to be there during the day, but we're also going to be there at night, right? And you can see people, there was a director who actually fell off a building, right? I almost fell off a building once doing a documentary where the guy said, "Stop, freeze." And I went, "What?" When someone tells you to freeze, you freeze. And I was only about 2 feet from falling off this construction site, and it was like 18 floors up because I was so involved in what the shot was going to be because I was directing. So I remembered that and whatever, and so then I ordered instantly some speed rail, and we painted it black so it would disappear, and we had made it 5 feet tall. Right? And also, by coincidence, about a month before, a guy actually did fall off a building, and he fell. I don't know, a lot of stories. And it was between two buildings, and he fortunately fell clean, right? And he landed, just like in a movie, he landed on a bunch of garbage, and he wasn't hurt at all. It was a grip on another movie. I think it was Cruising, that movie with Pacino. I think that was the movie, about the gay scene. Real, So anyway, that's your job. I didn't have it in the budget. It wasn't cheap to put up that speed rail and all the technicians to do it, right? And to anchor it to the building and to get permission to anchor it to the building because you're anchoring it to a roof, right? And there's maybe leaks and all that stuff. I had signed releases that I would guarantee there wouldn't be any leaks. See how complicated it gets? And you need to do it in 24 hours. But you have to do it, you know? You're in charge of safety. And that other incident had happened only like a month before. This year is 1984. I'm not sure which movie it was, but I do remember it happening.